Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a smaller webinar tonight. Um, we only have, interestingly enough, we only have 90 people that have registered, which of course is still great for a webinar. We expect about 30 people to show up. So that's kind of fun for us. So this is a little bit smaller. So you guys know what to do. I see Jackie and Mel, Gina. I know you guys. You've been coming for a long time. So do me a favor, move your mouse, go to the bottom of your screen. You're going to see the green share button. And go to the left of that, you'll see the chat box. And Mary from Maryland, love you, girlfriend. Right in there, first one to type in. So please type in Melissa from Tampa, Jackie from Alabama, type in your name and where you're from. We'd love to see you. And what we also would like to do is Mike Lieber, who's our fabulous cinematographer, is on, and he's going to put some links and stuff in the chat box. But we also watch your questions. So we want to hear from you and what your questions are. And this is cool. I find this topic extremely interesting. Okay, I'm not learning about gluteals or biceps or how to burn fat and eat carbohydrates at the same time. What I'm thinking about is cultivating community for client success. And I've got to tell you, I've been in this industry. Oh my gosh, I've been in this industry. How old am I? Believe it or not, I'm really old. I've been in this industry more than 40 years. And I'm going to tell you the number one thing is not your choreography. It's not what muscles you use. It's not Zumba or Pilates or high impact aerobics or whatever. It's making a connection with your members. And whatever you do, they're your heart and soul. So as priorities regarding the health and fitness shift amidst the pandemic, so did attitudes regarding the importance of community. And I think this is interesting. Margot has joined us from Body Harmonics, has joined us all the way from Toronto. And I think, Margot, you're going to be at our live events, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, because the borders are open. But she's got a totally different experience. She's still in lockdown, and we don't know if that's ever going to happen to us again. But Margot comes from us. She's the founder and CEO of Body Harmonics, a full service health and fitness company dedicated to helping people to teach well, move well, and be well. I really like that philosophy. Pilates and movement instructor, 55 plus, continuing education courses that they have. She's a published author, all these wonderful things. I'm very excited to have Mac Carvalho here because I love his jacket, but I also love him. He's one of our top WATERinMOTION champions, and he's one of our master trainers. He's been featured in our DVDs, but he's amazing. He's been in the fitness industry for over 7 years and has 18 years of dance experience. And he's also been featured on Pop Pilates. He works with a lot of choreographed programs. But he comes to us actually from the YMCA. And which Y are you with, Mac?
I'm with the Old Colony YMCA. So right now I'm at the Taunton location.
Okay, very cool. And then we have Dane Robinson, who's been, oh my gosh, I feel like we've gotten to know you much better through the pandemic, but Jane's been with us for several years presenting at Manias. He's a certified fitness pro through NASM. He says he's almost held every single job in the fitness industry. And one thing I really love is he's a coach on the daily burn. So if you think about cultivating a community and you're thinking about, well, I teach a yoga class to 55 plus people, and there's 5 of them in my class. That's my little class, that's my community. He's teaching on the daily burn to hundreds of people, like staring at him. It's totally cool. And then we have Siri, who I've gotten to know through the pandemic. She has her master's degree and her MBA, and she never flaunts it, and I'm telling her to flaunt it. She's a certified group fitness professional and presenter with nearly 15 years of experience. She actually, what's your specialization? Because I know you were just on a webinar with us, Siri.
Well, I'm a master trainer for cardio yoga and rock the bar, which is a format that combines traditional bar fitness with authentic belly dance technique. But I teach everything under the sun.
But you specialize in behavioral sciences.
I do. I have a second career in addition to my fitness career, which is as an academic, as a behavioral scientist studying diversity and inclusion in organizations.
So I love this, because a community cannot just be made up of a sliver of people. We have to broaden our net. So I'm going to start with, what does community look like in the fitness landscape? And Siri, I'm going to start with you.
So when I think of community, there's two words that come to mind. The first is people, and the second is relationships, right? So one person in isolation doesn't have community. It's all about people coming together and how they interact and the relationships that they have between each other. And one of the big learnings, I think, in the pandemic has been that how community changes when the modes of interaction change. A lot of us, like me, relied completely on the in-person forum to create community, to see our people, to see our members, and to stay connected with them and to inspire them. And when that was taken away overnight, all of a sudden, for a while, we didn't have anything. But then, of course, we quickly pivoted and figured out other ways, whether it's Zoom or social media or YouTube. And we're lucky that today there's a lot of different avenues to cultivate community. But that, to me, is at the heart of it, is people coming together, whether it's in person or virtually, and the relationships that they have with each other.
And before we turn the camera on, I really liked, Margot, you were talking that you have 20 years of experience, that you've been able to contact and connect with your people, and then you have to pivot. You're still in lockdown in Toronto. How did you do that?
Right. Well, it's so fun. We were just talking about that the other day, because I think if there's one thing I've learned over this pandemic, when you do have a strong community, you can make things happen fast, right? Because everyone's on the same page, everyone rolls up their sleeves and gets right in there. There's not even a question. And that was, to me, probably the most heartwarming part of, even though it was crazy and, everything going wrong, to see how quickly we could, as a community of professionals, create something and learn something and offer something. And then, as I was saying before we all got on here together, what really struck me one day was, okay, we obviously did something right, because people trusted that it would work, even though they didn't know how to use Zoom, they didn't know what was up, they didn't know if they'd like it, and we spent a lot of time getting people prepped, and we had a special person in charge of getting people on Zoom and teaching them how to do it. But that couldn't have happened if we hadn't had this established way of being, before. And that really, really struck me.
And the connections.
Yeah.
Dane, you've got this, obviously, this following on Daily Burn, but you're also a very successful personal trainer. So how did you, I think, because you had this experience basically on, TV, that was it easier for you? Did you find it a little bit more smooth?
Yeah, no, I would say this first and foremost. Again, look at this cast of professionals. How lucky are we to have this conversation together? Number two, shout out to Kathy and Mary, Baltimore, Maryland, in the house. But back to your question. The idea is that when we talk about culture, a lot of it, again, is just the premise of, just a common denomination of experience, thought, or person. So what I learned from being a part of that Daily Burn team is that everybody, it's like your favorite show. Everybody has a favorite show or favorite, whatever you're binging on Netflix or anything like that. But to translate that, and when I say I've held every job in the fitness industry, all the way from trainer to regional management, I knew to take that mindset of when I was trying to expand within the health club, it was going to dial into what kind of community I created. When the pandemic happened, it's all about how I dial into the community that's with me. And kind of like Margot said, when you show up for your community and you're authentic with them and you care, and that authenticity shows when you're talking with somebody face to face, or you're projecting through a camera and you're reaching in, you're trying to pull their soul positively into your space, then you can get people to act in a way that's beneficial to them, because we know that the positives of health and wellness, but also beneficial to just your livelihood and your career and your business. So I would be naive to say my time, even still to now, of creating a community and a digital platform like Daily Burn, to extend that into understanding that that has to be a crux of what allows me to, number one, be a great fitness leader, but number two, allow my business to stay sustainable.
And Mac, you pivoted pretty darn quick. How were you able to do that? But it was hard because I think you do a lot with your 55 plus. You were talking about how do you teach them the technology, and as opposed to the millennials. So how did you transition?
So it was really difficult for me to transition because I'm going to be completely 100% honest with every single one of you on this chat right now. I did not love the idea of virtual training. I did not like teaching virtual. It was not for me. And I said this even before the pandemic. I was like, I'm never going to do this. But then overnight, it just swept me on my feet that all my locations were closing. Everything was coming away from me. And I really felt as though I was hurt and heartbroken. So I had to really transition fast. I had to do a lot of research on what was the best platform to teach virtually. How can I continue my passion for fitness? How can I transform into a one-bedroom apartment into a studio overnight? How can I do this effectively? Was it difficult? Absolutely. Was it a lot of money to do so to get the best equipment possible? Absolutely. Was it hard to reach every single person on social media, or people that I never even thought of reaching out to, like, oh, they forgot about me, or all this other stuff? Yeah, it was very difficult. But soon, later and later, I was able to transform my community and have them still stay with me throughout this pandemic. Was I limited to what I was able to do? Absolutely. I also think in a lot of the pre-choreographed formats, being online, doing classes, whether it was on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Zoom, uploading to YouTube was like a big no-no. They wanted to protect their brand. They didn't want it all out there in the open, but I think that's also been a new transition for a lot of fitness companies right now, that they had to really make this decision where their instructors still needed to teach. They've all built this community, and now that it's been taken away from them, they had to have no choice but to offer a virtual platform. So I say out there, it really was hard at first, but once, your members and your truest clients will always be there for you, no matter what. They will always remember you. They will remember not just your classes. It's just like being in person. They're not going to remember, oh, this was an awesome fitness class. They remember how you made them feel. I actually had someone today that said, I'm going through a divorce right now, and they were threatening to kill me. But coming to your class really made me forget about all that.
Yeah.
And just those things, it was a lot. I'm not going to lie to you, but that's what really makes group fitness on a higher level. Not just, oh, you taught an awesome class, you have great choreography. Okay, that's awesome. Oh, I lost so many pounds with you. Okay, that's cool. But that's just the superficial level. I call it like a cake. When you have a really awesome cake, the jimmies, the sprinkles, the icing, the frosting, that's all the extraness. But that base layer of the cake is what really makes you want to have a little bit more, right? Just like group fitness. That is the deepest level that you can actually get when you make that face-to-face human connection and really get them beyond just coming every single week to see you.
And, you know, I hear that, and I've been working a lot with IRSA and with a lot of club owners, and IRSA's the full name was the International Racket Sports Association, but it's really one of the global health club associations. And I listen to the owners and the managers a lot. And what I think of is at this last meeting I had, I do a talk show with them. It's called Talks and Takes. It's like the second or third Wednesday of every month. It's only once a month. But the owners and managers were talking about leaving people with good feelings and good thoughts when they left the club. And I started thinking, you know, that's kind of cool. That's what they do at the Blackhawks game. Like you get a little bit of you get a mint. They don't do that now because they don't want to give any food away, but they'll give you a mint. They have people standing at the door saying, thank you for coming, drive safely, have fun, hope you enjoyed the game, go Hawks, you know, whatever. They do it at the Cubs games. They do, I'm from Chicago, and they do it at all the sporting events. And you know who does it the best? The group fitness instructors. We're the heart and soul of the club, of our clubs. We're the ones that leave them with that flexibility track at the end that really pulls that community together. We're the ones that we are told by our boss, stay after for 15 minutes and answer questions. It's not, they don't ask you questions about, well, what do I do about the fat back here? No, they want to know about you. They want to know, they want to connect with you. It's this wonderful experience that they have. And I truly believe like we're the heart and the soul, and that we were able to transition. Siri, how is community created and fostered?
I'm going to answer your question in 1 second, but I just have to jump on what you were just saying, because I've had so many conversations with other fitness instructors for whom it's been a really positive surprise. They didn't realize how loyal their members were to them until this pandemic hit, right? And they were so concerned about, oh, is anyone going to follow me online? Is anyone going to come to my online workouts, YouTube workouts, whatever have you? And they've just been floored at how many people have shown up. And it's exactly what you were saying, Sarah, and many of you, the rest of you were saying the same thing, which is it's the power of your personality and the environment that you create. And that's what the people come gravitate towards, not the choreography or not even the amazing music. So in answer to your question then, how do we cultivate community? It's just that, right? In order to take, you have to give first. So, and I think for us, this comes pretty naturally, but we share of ourselves, of our talents and our expertise, but we also bring our personality to this job. And that's why our tribe gravitates to us, because they love our authentic selves. For me, what was really hard about that was transitioning that to online. I feel very comfortable being my authentic self in person with my members, with people I actually know, but doing that in front of the, proverbial whole world online at first was very uncomfortable for me. But I realized the same thing as what I was told when by mentors when I started being a fitness instructor is you have to do that, because what you put out there, the vibes that you put out there in the world, that's the people you will attract. They kind of react to what you put out there in terms of your authenticity and your energy and your vibes. And I think that's important both in person, but also online now that we're forced to be online.
And Margot, how do you create and foster that sense of community with the body harmonics following that you guys have?
Well, I always talk about, the intention behind what you do. Do you know why you're doing, and just make sure you stay really focused on that, because as everyone, I'm echoing everybody here, it's not what you're doing, it's really why you're doing it and how you show up. Now, I don't know everyone, obviously, that's here from your own experiences, but I know we've had a lot of practice with this, over the last number of months, but I think there's still people that are not comfortable with it. And what I would say in that case is really just be as much of yourself online, because as Siri said, people will gravitate. You're not going to be everything to everybody, but the people for whom you mean something to, that will resonate. And it's really about being you online. And I think sometimes we get in front of the screen and all of a sudden we think we have to be something else. Although I would say one thing that does go a long way is just remembering to smile, because it really comes, and we have a joke at Body Harmonics, if you're not smiling, you kind of look angry, even though you're not. And
it's important. I think what I have found, which is kind of funny, is what people enjoy is my dog. Like I literally get comments if I'm teaching and Buster didn't didn't blow in during the flexibility. And I'm like, what about me? No, they like that feeling that they're part of something. Agnes gave a great question, Mac. I'm going to ask you to answer this. She was wondering if the over 55 students picked up on virtual quickly, and were they slower to pick up and keep up with the virtual classes? What did you find?
So that's kind of a mixed question. So I have some 55 and over who are very tech savvy. And then I have some others that are not very tech savvy. So if I had anybody who was in that 55 plus community and they really did struggle like with technology, I would just set up a meeting with them and say, hey, let's get together and social distance at the time. We'll wear a mask and everything just to protect ourselves. And I will show you how to log into Zoom, how to use Zoom, and if I send you a link, this is how you open the link, and you just actually break it down with them. And I think they've really learned, especially in the 55 and over community, have learned, I think, better how to use technology than they ever have.
Totally. It's a bonus of the pandemic. I think they've gained confidence with it, and I think it's just just a bonus.
But there are positives that have come out of the pandemic. And this is one of them that we've been able to accelerate. Dane, do you think this is going to continue? We're going down, because we built this community face to face with all our wonderful clients. We probably didn't collect their email addresses and their cell phone or their handles for their social media. Oh, whoops. But now we've built this community. Are we going to keep it? What's going to happen as our doors open? Margot's doors are completely shut. Yours opened like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Being in Atlanta.
We were the first to open up.
Yeah.
No, I see that we should learn, it's the old saying, like, if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. So when we're really trying to take a close look at, how do we not fall into the same kind of like rigmarole, is like, we understand like now that our community is what can drive us. We had a conversation before we went live here about, again, for you, yourself and Mac working in YMCAs, and how many YMCAs are not in business anymore. How many small mom and pop, boutique studios are not in business anymore versus the ones that are, not because the squats and burpees were any different, not because the studio rode their stationary bike any different. It was the community that they really leaned into. And if we are working in this hybrid, I would say diversified model of, I'm working with this studio or with this club, but I also lean into like, I'm a personality myself and I have my own community. Those are people coming to your classes. It's making sure that you do those like check boxes on just like creating, when we talk about business, creating your email list. You own that. Obviously, again, they are willingly giving you that information. Understanding that if you are, again, not going and keeping proper business ethics with the club or studio that you are a part of, but your community is not only retention because they know, like, and trust you, but it's also income growth, because who are the easiest people that you can, I'm going to use the word loosely, convince to invest with you are your community that has already bought into you. So it gives you this range to offer different or have different offerings or create different products that are going to allow you to continue to give them more while also facilitating your own career as well.
And that's great. Dane does a lot of coaching to fitness professionals on business and has been doing this. How long have you been doing this, Dane?
I've been in the industry now for 12 years, but I would say at least 8 of those years were just figuring it out.
Yeah, figuring it out. We all tend to figure it out, which is really fun. What influence does a fitness community have on clients? Like, did you guys literally sit there and collect email addresses, or did you start your own Facebook? And do you think that that's going to continue? Siri?
I'm going to get all of those emails as soon as we go back to in person, because I didn't do that before, and that was a big learning. But in the meantime, in social media, I'll give you an example of something that I'm doing right now to cultivate community this summer. I teach a lot of workshops on planking, including at SCW Mania. I just did one at the May Virtual Mania, and I gave folks a lot of variations as part of the workshop, but there's obviously so many more. So I said, hey, we're going to continue this workshop essentially throughout the summer. I'm going to be sharing you 100 planks in 100 days between May 25th and September 8th. It's ending right on Labor Day. And a lot of the folks from that workshop ended up connecting with me on Instagram. They're sending me emails saying, oh, I just showed these latest variations in my class today. They were all complaining that it was so hard, but they loved it because it was new and different. And so we were able to kind of create a little community from that one workshop, one-hour workshop at SC Express Mania, and extend it over time, bring it to a different medium, and other people have tagged on Instagram. So we just have to get creative. We just have to try new things, and some are going to work and some are not, but it's like you said, we figure it out.
And Dane, what things have worked for you?
You know, I would just like we do on most of these webinars. It's like always like piggybacking off the last thought. But I would call in my world, what Siri just did is just you create your free treat. You create something that has value and that is free. You know, when we're talking about the impact it has on, a community or a client in that regard, because again, it gets them to continue to buy into you, but also what community does to a client, like maybe it's cliche, maybe not cliche to say, but that positive accountability. How often have you been in a class where people feel so tied to the community where they're gone for a couple of days, vacation or whichever. And you're either talking with your participants about where's Sara? Or as soon as Sara gets back, it's like, where have you been? And you kind of like feel like this weird, but it's a good way, this weird kind of just like, I didn't know anybody cared so much and whatnot. Like that is like that positive accountability, because it's not they're letting themselves down. Again, you're going on vacation, you're taking a break, whatever, but there's somebody and there's also a community waiting for you.
Right, like you've been missed. So I love that plank idea. Margot, what did you do with Body Harmonics to pull and capture your group online? Because you're still only online.
Gosh, I just, as you were talking, Siri, I again, kind of organically, just not even with this idea of how do we keep the community together? It was really more, what was the question now? How do we keep it, not your question, sorry, my question back at the beginning, it was more just how do we let people know that we are here for them? That was, we are here for you was kind of our motto. And then we just started coming up with ideas, of events that people could join into online for free. And I think, to your point, Siri, having something that has some time value to it, it'll be interesting to see when we're back in person what happens. I don't know what's going to happen then, but certainly online, having people be able to look forward to the next month. And in most cases, in the events that we have run, because we got really good at making sure we sent reminders out and did all of the things, sort of ticking all the boxes to make sure we could be in touch with people, we have more and more people every time coming. And we said, we don't care if people are paying for stuff during the pandemic. We just want to make sure they're connected some way. So I actually saw someone's name the other day who has not been around at all. And each of us teachers, we reached out to our clients and our classes and all the rest of it. And there were lots of people that didn't want, they'd never wanted to. But seeing them show up for these different things here and there, that was kind of, we're here for you.
That is being there for them. So now I'm going to, Mac, how did you build that community? I love Siri's concrete idea of 100 planks in 100 days, 100 different, we can do it on one elbow. We can do it on one hand. You can do it on one knee. You could do it, at your kitchen table, whatever. It's 100 different. That's a great idea. You guys steal it. Go and do it. Right, Siri? It's like, that's why we're here.
Yes, it's hashtag Summer of Planks 2021. Start hashtagging and posting all your planks a million different ways.
I love that. And Mac, what did you do to build more of your community?
Well, when we first got back into teaching in the gyms, I already was smart enough and I already had business cards already made for people whenever I had sessions or whenever I did pop-up classes. So the first thing I did is I brought my business cards to every single class that I was teaching, and I said, here's my card. It has my my social media. It has my email. I want you to stay connected to me, because who knew that if we were ever going to go back to this pandemic again. So that was the first and foremost thing I did. Also, at least in my neck of the woods, and probably for some of you on this chat right now, your facilities made you wear masks as we were working out. And let's just say that was incredibly difficult. And I was in a serious situation where I only relied on being in person. I was like, tell your friends, come join my class. I never really thought in a million years we'd be in a position that where we were now. So when people had to wear a face covering as we were teaching, we had to rely on looking at somebody's face. We had to look at their eye connection, and that was the lens to what was going really inside of their mind. No, we couldn't see their nose. No, we couldn't see their mouths. We couldn't see the smiles, but we could see them smiling through each other's eyes. And I think it's important now that people are starting to at least start to venture back into the gyms, or whether they're still continuing online, that you make them feel welcomed each and every single time. It doesn't matter if it's their first time with you or their 10,000th time with you. How you make them feel as their personal cheerleader will really make a difference between yourself and another instructor. Some instructors will just walk in the room 2 minutes before they have to start their class. They'll plug in the music and then just go from there. No eye connection, no getting to know their members who are taking their time out of their schedules to meet with you, and then just move on with their day. How you make that person feel will really change and make you a better coach, a better leader, and a better motivational instructor throughout and throughout.
I completely agree with you. That's part of the reason you're really, Mac, you do with a lot of pre-choreographed programs, which is great. Like we do an aquatics program, WATERinMOTION, where the first track is always your warm-up. The second track is always a linear track. Third track is lateral. Fourth track is pattern. Then we do suspension. Then we do a group, upper body, lower body, core, and you end up with your flexibility track. 10 songs. And I think about that. If that helps you, if it helps you to have the music already done and you know the choreography, you're not thinking, okay, what comes next? Did I do my right side? Did I do my left side? You're able to watch your students because you know kind of what's coming next. Hopefully over time, yes, it changes every 12 weeks, but over, by that third or fourth week, they start getting the choreography. They start being able to embrace it and have fun with it and, get into it. That also allows us. Why do you think Zumba took off like wildfire? Because it was unintimidating, it was fun, and it gave you your music and your choreo, and you could just focus your little heart out on your students and connect. And I think okay, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. Okay, so what effect does community also have on fitness leaders? And I'm gonna say this. I got to know Dane. We were in the suite at Mania.
It was in Midwest Mania.
To me, yeah, he came. I'm like, who is this dude? Comes up to me, introduces himself, puts his hand out. I shake his hand. I'm like, I don't even know what a presenter is. I didn't read a presenter application. I don't know. And we kept talking. So for us, it helped us to build a fitness community. But we used to have this community at the YMCA where I'll sub for you, you sub for me. And then suddenly we're doing Zoom meetings. So Dana, how do you see that affecting our own fitness industry communities?
Yeah, community it kind of busts us out of our shell a little bit, right? Because again, how do you continue to foster communities that you have to show up? You have to do the work. Again, just piggybacking off of all the thoughts, like Mac talks about the instructor that kind of just shows up 2 minutes and just kind of does a thing and bounces, but then they're still scratching their head about why they may have hit a ceiling or not progressing in their fitness career like they've wanted to. For us as fitness professionals, our community allows us to drive like our motivational thoughts, like our thought leadership, as I kind of talk about, like what's important to us. Like we have ears that are listening to that, and it should build confidence. So ultimately the articulation of like how community affects us is that it builds confidence that like there are people that care what I think, not in just like how I teach. Because again, like I'm sure that everybody here can coach a great push-up, but there's a small niche community that's like, I care about how you feel, about what you say, what's going on in your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs and everything. And that should lift us up. That should get us out of the mindset that we're always combating of like, am I good enough? Am I an imposter? You know, because I'm bright on stage, but inside maybe I'm a little timid and everything. Community lifts us up and allows us to be like, you know what? I got something to say, and there's people listening to it, so I'm going to lean into that more.
And how does that feed into culture, Siri? Like building that culture, building that community. How do the two interplay?
I know Margot has a lot of interesting thoughts on this too, so I'd love to hear her after me. But I think they're almost a reflection of each other, right? So the culture of an organization or a gym, let's say where you work, shapes what the community looks like. If it's a culture that's very competitive, people are individualistic, everyone's just looking after their own numbers and, you know, trying to kind of keep other people down, well, are you going to feel a lot of sense of community there? But then on the flip side, the community and what the relationships between people look like and how they interact, that also helps to shape the culture. So I think it's kind of like a circle that kind of one influences the other both ways.
And I think you're right. Margot, you talked about, you looked up the definitions.
I did. Well, I'm in the position as owner of Body Harmonics. And so I have a team that that I work with every day. And culture is something we talk about a lot, the leadership team. And these things don't happen by chance, you know, they happen through intention. And when I was looking up stuff for today, there are 4 types of cultures, basically. And I think the one that really we think about in our context in fitness and wellness is the clan culture, where it's really collaborative and by consensus and people working together. And so in my particular situation, that is key, and I understand that there can be different cultures. So one of my messages tonight is really figure out the one that you are comfortable in, because there's this clan culture, sort of everybody in there together. But that might not be what you actually like. One of them is also innovation and experimentation. So you might really so it's really asking yourself what kind of culture you want to be part of. The other one would be more based on competition. For lots of people, that is just, forget it, I don't want that feel. But for other people, it jazzes them up. So really watching for those. And the other one is very structured, hierarchical. And I had someone a couple of years ago, and she didn't fit at Body Harmonics. She just didn't fit. And she would be much better in something very hierarchical, like no question what's going to happen, no gray area, no, right? And so I think if I could just offer that as a thought for those of you that are fitness professionals, you know, working in different venues, et cetera, to think about which cultures really make you your best, right? Because they're not all the same.
Margot, you can also, thank you so much for looking that up and looking at the 4 different cultures. You can also embrace those different cultures in different classes. Like there's times when you're doing, like for us, when we're doing a group class where we have, you know, one of the songs is going to be group oriented. You have a line of people on the right and a line of people on the left, and you're going to run to the middle, high five your person and run away. And who's going to do it the most often in this 4.5-minute song, you know? So you can have different cultures and different types of programs.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was thinking more in terms of the people you work with, but this is a great application in classes, and even saying that to people ahead of time. You know, today we're going to be highly structured and, I'm going to be a drill sergeant. Next day, it's like, let's do what you feels best for you. And that I think is also really interesting to people because they like things that are different, right? They like some variety. And I worked with a guy years ago at the university here, and his class did not change. I went back like 10 years later, it was the same class. I was like, wow, really? The same? And our nervous systems thrive on change. So when we can actually introduce different ways of thinking and being and doing, and even, when people go to the same place in a room, right? They all go, right? And it's like, I don't know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but okay, everybody switch sides or whatever. It's sort of just, but it's good at a neurological level too, so many, many layers of thinking about culture.
That's interesting. And Mac, you were nodding your head.
I agree. So I may not have over 20 years experience in fitness yet. But the biggest thing that I have learned from master presenters in the fitness industry, and I know this is very cliche, stay true to who you are. Do not try to be like someone else. That person is that person. I will not be Sara Kooperman. I am not Margot. I am not Siri, and I am not Dane. I may learn some tips and tricks from them, as I'm learning some tips and tricks now from this lovely session that we are having. But I am still going to be who I am. I'm going to stay authentic to who I am. And people notice this. How you teach is a reflection on your personality. They come for you. They don't come because, oh, they love the format. They don't come because, oh, you remind them of this person. They come because of you, what you bring to the table. And the culture within different communities, like the way I teach is exactly the same. I'm still myself, but the culture that I have between an urban YMCA that I teach at versus a country bumpkin YMCA that I teach at are completely different. The culture is different. So I may throw in a little more pizzazz in my urban area because that's where I'm from. I'm from the urban cities. So I can relate to that and really bring that extra fire that I know that they love. But does my same little country, small town YMCA? No, I may be a little more reserved. But you read the crowd. You know that you're still going to be true to yourself. You're still going to be who you are. And I know it's, like I said, it sounds cliche, but that is the biggest piece of advice. And it's really gotten myself, and I'm sure every single one of you, where you are today.
Very cool. All right, I'm going to jump here just for 1 second. I'm going to jump into one of our videos. And this is from our Active Aging Summit, which is going to be in July. And I'm going to show you our video that just ran away from me. Here we go. Very cool. So that's our Active Aging convention that we're having in July. And you all know this weekend we're doing our nutrition program, but I think everybody's getting really excited. that wonderful video was put together by Mike Lieber, who's just unbelievable. But I can't even, I really want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. I think it created a community. These webinars have created a community for me. And the one thing I have never complained about, because trust me, ask my husband, I complain about everything. But the one thing I really have never complained about is we do these every Tuesday and Thursday. And it's like, I'm not finished with work until 6:45 p.m. on those nights, and it's the way it is. And so I also want to thank my team who never complains. Mike Lieber, maybe you never complain to me, maybe you complain to your wife, but you do a great job. Mac, thank you so much for joining us. Margot, a pleasure. Siri, just love it. And Dane, you're our rock star. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next Tuesday. Enjoy the Nutrition Summit this weekend. If you're still interested in registering, we've got space open because it's virtual. Everyone can join. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.